only on Win Media 98.9.
Good morning, and welcome to another episode of Island Tea with your faves, Azim and Jade. I am awaiting the arrival of my co-host. But guys, we are here. It is Thursday, July 28th. Wow, July is out of here, boy. Wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad compared to some of the other months. Felt like it just flew on by. July has somewhere to be. But yes, guys, we are back today. And how are you? We're happy to be here with you. Well, I'm happy to be here with you, as in we'll be here shortly, as I said. And firstly, let me start by saying a hearty congratulations to the new Miss JCs, Miss Nikira Nichols. Yes, our very own has won the Miss JCs over there in Antigua. And so not only is she our Miss St. Kitts, but she's also the Miss JC. So congratulations to her. Congratulations to her. We are doing good things all around. You know, it's a little break from the usual election miller. Something else happening, something as exciting, as worthy of celebration. And so from the Island Tea team and Win FM, we want to say a hearty congratulations to her. And, you know, as usual, today is Thursday, so, you know, call us, tell us what is on your mind today. What gears do you want to grind? We have just about 20 minutes of time to grind gears because we have Miss Marsha Henderson joining us just around 8:30 today to talk to us. This will be her first time on the show. She is the constituency rep for number 2 for the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party. Sorry guys, a little tongue-tied there. But yeah, she will be joining us today to talk election, of course, because we are slowly but surely winding down to the 5th of August, which is next week, Friday. Yes, next week, Friday, we are all going out. We're all going to be casting our votes. Hopefully, we could put this debacle behind us after that. The lot of fake news floating around, the lot of propaganda, fighting, all of these things. We are quite tired. Oh, but it's been a lot. These parties or whoever working for these parties have been busy with their little propaganda cycle. I swear every day it's a new fake screenshot or a new fake article. So who getting paid this or who doing this or who ain't qualified for this. And, I guess that's just a part of the election that we run here in St. Kitts. I'm not sure if this is the same type of election that everyone else runs, but I know for St. Kitts, it's very messy. It is very, very messy, and we have lots and lots of parties, so you never know what you'll get. You'll never know what you'll get, boy. But I'm tired. I don't know about you guys, but I am tired of having to open my WhatsApp every day to see something new. And the new thing, it don't even make sense half of the time. Like, where are you guys getting this information and why are you believing it? It is literally just random stuff being put out and people just be like, yes, I believe because da-da-da. I'm like, what you even believe? What happened, Lazim? You're late.
Morning.
You're coming in here peeping.
Morning. I hear you, Jade. I hear you ready for the morning.
You hear me? Are you ready for the morning?
Yeah.
What me water?
I didn't hear that.
See?
I didn't hear that. Sorry. But don't feel bad because I haven't drunk any yet either.
I realize you're coming here hand swinging.
But yeah.
Hand swinging, boy.
Yeah.
What happened?
Nothing really, yeah?
Oh.
It's just that this morning, let me start from yesterday. Yesterday, remember I was telling you just how out of it I was?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I decided to just check out. I had to check out.
Well, I did the same. I went to sleep at 10 o'clock.
I went to sleep at about 4 o'clock, miss.
Wow. Now, yours might be well done, my man.
No, but you know the reason I was able to do that too? My charger wasn't charging my phone.
Look at that unexpected blessing.
Watch, the universe.
Oh, wow.
The universe extends her embrace in so many different ways, Jade.
One way or the other, you're going to get asleep.
Yeah, the universe knew that, hey, you. Yeah, I got you. So yeah, I get home for some strange and then guess what?
Is that what this morning?
This morning,
As it showed. As it showed.
I knelt, Jade. I gave her a small token of thanks.
As you should. She basically just gave you a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, so you know what happened after that? I left it off until I was coming up the steps. So I assume you asked me for some water this morning and I didn't get it. So my blessing may have been your downfall, but
Blessing nonetheless.
Blessing nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
Blessing nonetheless. Good morning, everyone. Sorry I'm late.
So you missed that Nikira one, JC's as well.
You told me that this morning
Oh.
on the radio.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah, I was coming down in the vehicle and listening to you, and then you gave me that great nugget of information. Mm-hmm. I'm quite excited, actually.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hi, Vince. Morning.
Hey, Vince, pick up yourself. I see you driving in town the other day, but
Driving?
But he wasn't driving. He was in a vehicle.
Because I know me and my friend on the same boat.
You ain't know nothing about Vince.
License-less.
You ain't know nothing about Vince. Okay?
I know that.
You know that? Okay. Yeah, you probably do.
Yeah.
But yeah, hey, I'll give my personal congratulations to Nikki, friend of the show, and just friend, full stop. Yeah. So, man, everybody knows how I feel about pageants. right?
Yeah,
However,
yeah.
however, that does not that does not
We
that does not undermine the fact that the young lady is
quite talented.
quite talented and carries herself quite well.
Somebody said next time, tell them don't waste your time. I don't know what happened in the project last night, but apparently, you know, she may have went above and beyond compared to some of the other contestants.
Well, Jade, let me tell you something, right? When we have situations where persons exude and exhibit excellence, we need to make that the model. We just need to make that the model. And it don't matter if everybody else on this level, if this is the level that is attainable, then that is where we need to go to.
Exactly.
Excellence always.
I'm with it.
Excellence always. I had to abuse of somebody about that there.
For sure?
Yeah, some night there.
Well, you keep questioning people as in, what is going on with you?
Because
Leave that for me.
People's love affair and mediocrity doesn't annoy me, Jade.
Oh, well, you know.
Yes, I'd be like, y'all need to break up. Break up with mediocrity. She's not good for you. You know, but...
Too far gone.
Yeah, too far gone. Sometimes them toxic love is the sweetest.
What is love?
Nobody never know back by. Nobody never know that. But Jade...
Them say you look like your father, Baiju?
Well, I
mean, it's
mean,
your father, so-
I mean, it's my father. Yeah, yeah, and I don't think he's a bad-looking man. So hey,
There you go. Your mom chose well, or
Hey.
your dad chose well. Well, however you go. Whoever choose who.
both. When I look at them, my mother just be like, she can abuse me. My mother,
Watch out, wherever you go, I guess I don't make it cut into my food, you know.
no, your food's
Okay.
safe, man.
Just make it sure.
But my mother just be like, you have such a wonderful example of marriage. What you doing?
Well, man.
You know, marriage is a good thing. And then I just tell her, yeah, moms, but ain't a lot of use around.
Facts.
Ain't a lot of use around.
Let's start there.
Yeah, so.
You got lucky.
Yeah,
That mean I gonna get lucky.
You know, pops get lucky. You understand?
Yeah, true.
Pops is the blessing. Pops. Yeah.
You look out.
Yeah, he look out. But me no get on me.
Listen, what we're gonna have to do is, you know, have one of them segments where we just turn it into a dating show and see if we could find our wife and a husband for us.
Bye.
We might get some luck on the radio. Send your applications through the stream.
Well, we could work on you first.
But whoa.
Is you come up with the idea, no, Jade?
Yes, to help you.
From what you watch.
I may be fine. Who said me and a husband?
You literally just say find us.
I hope you're listening. So he missed a fact.
No, he just sent in the application too.
Well, you know, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Marriage and
He might just get added to the shortlist quick.
I'm telling you, marriage and dating is two different things, you know.
Hey, that is Jade. You just spit a bar right there, you
No,
know.
you sure? Well, if I ain't know that.
You spit a bar right there, boy. See me and live with me is two different things.
Two different things, boy.
And then
But
live,
I ain't realize that
and
much.
then live with me, and then live with me with a ring.
Live with me forever?
But yeah, live with me forever is the next thing, boy.
Oh, forever. It's a long time sometimes, you know. Oh, my God.
That's a lot of people don't make it.
They have couple forevers between you, 3 and 4.
Jade,
You know what I realize? I don't know if you realize it. But one thing about white people, they're going to get married, you know.
Yes, Jade.
Quick.
The institution of marriage has not been undermined the way it has been in black society.
Bye. White people just get married 4 times, back to back, quick.
But they kind of understand. Okay. And this crossed my mind. This crossed my mind after the conversation we had with the caller concerning society and the rules that we make and stuff like that. And when we were talking about the marriage thing, right? I was like, I made the example of, hey, do we want marriage to be this thing that fosters family, and it creates an institution whereby we could help to raise more well-adjusted and responsible adults, or we just want it to be this thing where it's like, oh, if you love somebody, you could get married, and But that's what a lot of people say too. A lot of people like go, hey, is that marriage is about love? And I'd be
Married
like,
for love.
and I'd be like, love is the thing that you're looking at. Like,
Love does stop sometimes.
love is fleeting.
What you can do when the love stop?
Yeah, but Jade, I had this conversation with a friend just recently, this week sometime. I said, look, love is not enough.
Love is not enough. That African song,
Yeah,
baby.
Love alone is not enough, bye.
No, that's a song.
I would believe so.
It's African song. I listened it up to this morning.
I would believe so, Jade. Love alone is not enough. So if that's what we're using as a benchmark, no wonder people just get married and whoosh, I get married again and whoosh.
Yeah, bye.
Circumstances, yeah, but I mean, bye, can't be that alone, bye. Can't be that alone.
Got to be more than that.
And then let me ask you a question. Do you consider yourself a difficult partner?
Yes. Sorry.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
No, I know me, man. I know me.
Yeah, I know me too.
This is why we can't get married. This is why we love life in shambles as him.
Ain't about shambles, but
You just say I can't find a wife.
may say that.
You just say you didn't see your wife yet.
I didn't say that either.
Okay. A paraphrasing?
I know.
We don't say that here because
no.
he said that, is me said that.
No,
Please don't take it out as him.
No, all I said was, in speaking to my mom, I would tell her there's not a lot of use
True.
out there.
Yeah, I'm definitely a difficult partner.
Yeah, I'm difficult on
Ooh.
many levels.
I might need some therapy and all to fix my problems. They're easily fixed, man.
I don't know. I don't even know if.
Well, I talk about me.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's a matter that I consider, like if I have like problems.
Yeah, but you're toxic, so you know you ain't gonna consider them problems.
Jade has been spitting this narrative.
No, Jade,
you create these narratives
Wow.
about me. I don't
Out
understand.
of thin air, right?
I don't understand
I don't understand, you know.
where you get
Half the
these
times I
narratives.
don't understand your story. I don't just be like, what?
But I don't be the toxic one in them situations, Jade.
Sometimes.
No,
Not gonna lie.
no.
It's a balance. Yeah, it's 50-50 with you. I'm not gonna say you're always the problem because you've told me some stories that I'm just like, jail. However, friend, you do have toxic ways. I mean, I feel like all of us have toxic ways. Well, some of them don't call it toxic. That I just say that's how I be, and that's how you meet me. That's toxic too.
Yeah.
Right there, that's how you know somebody toxic. If you tell them you don't like something, or you tell them about something that they're constantly doing, and they say, well, that's how you meet me, that's how you be. Well, you don't do what?
Anyway, moving on. You were saying?
As if that's your belly?
Yes,
When you
Jade.
eating 4 o'clock yesterday, no?
Jade,
Before you went to sleep?
I ate before I went to sleep. I eat again.
I could tell.
Yeah.
I could tell. Your belly here acting up. Somebody said nothing is wrong with marriage. On Monday, I celebrated 35 years and it is wonderful. Cleo, ain't a lot of Theos out there.
Yeah.
Ain't a lot of Theos out there, Cleo.
However,
However,
we must say, congratulations, Cleo and Theo,
indeed,
on your wedding
Cleo and
anniversary.
Cleo and Theo.
Imagine that. Too perfect. It's too perfect. They had to get married, Jade.
Anything else would be uncivilized, man.
Yeah. But I think, let me ask you this too, as well. Do you believe that we are evolving as a society to where we can have conversations between men and women that are honest? Meaning, I believe there are a lot of men who recognize that they really may work best in non-traditional setups, right? Do you think we're getting to a point where men could have a very open and honest conversation with women and not be judged about it? We still have some time. We're going to have to get there.
No, we ain't reached there yet, man.
We ain't reached there yet.
We reached
You're
there
right.
yet.
You're right. Because what I find happens is when those conversations occur, they get misconstrued.
Well, I just want to be out here duxing off.
Right.
Oh, sorry, guys. I forget I can't say the word dux on the radio.
Yeah.
So, being a stop, so yeah, I just got to understand.
And I the toxic one?
That ain't being toxic. That is being open and honest about my vocabulary. And it includes the word ducks.
Yeah. But I mean, really and truly, just crackers, eh?
Bruh.
But anyway, so I was saying that a lot. So what happens is men now recognizing that we aren't at a place where we could have those conversations, and I believe it's a travesty because I believe people should be allowed to be themselves.
And I don't think
And
it's
not be
only
ashamed.
a men thing. I feel like women feel the same way too, but when women say that, you just want to be out here worrying and touring.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, definitely.
We're in there yet, as in when
Yeah.
there yet. Especially since we live in a Christian society, boy, you must be crazy. You want the Christian... Listen, that would be the next pandemic in St. Kitts. That would literally be the next pandemic in St. Kitts.
Shut down.
What if Kittitians and Divisions decided to have open relationships?
But see, that's not what I'm really getting at. I'm getting at not open, but very non-traditional, whatever way. Non-traditional in whatever
No,
way.
it's only marriage and that's it. That's it, literally. It's only, and not only just regular marriage, has to be between a man and a woman, and that's it. Full stop. We're done.
I think what happens though is that we just were talking about how many marriages seem to really face struggles, and struggles being struggles. I mean, I'm not talking about the things that you expect in any relationship between people. I'm talking about things to the point where it's decided that, hey, we shouldn't do this anymore, right? What generally happens is when we see this happening all the time, we say it's something with those people. We don't recognize that perhaps there's something going on with the institution itself where the success rate is so low. So we blame the people in the system and not the system itself.
Yeah. And that is because they want to hold on to the setup. They don't want, because if they blame the system, they're going to realize that the system that they created
Needs evolving.
Yeah, and the thing that they've been preaching and pushing and teaching from young, they would have to admit that it's wrong. And one thing we don't do here is admit that we're wrong. So.
But you see, that's my thing. I don't think it's wrong. I just think it's not a one-size-fits-all. I don't think there's anything wrong with marriage as it is now, No. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I just don't know if it suits everybody.
It
and
can't
every
suit
relation.
everybody.
Every
Everybody is
relationship.
not the same. Everybody is not the same, so it cannot suit everybody.
So just that fact that you said is one of the things that I have conversations with people about. Is like, if you admit that everyone is different, then when you have two people coming together, there's no relationship that is the same. So then why all the relationship standards are the same?
I don't know. That's why when I see people talking about other couples that their relationship goals, I'm like, why?
But you don't know what's going on there.
No, you never know what's going on in people's relationship as them.
For instance, like, and one of the things for me too is if I don't think any two relationships are the same, that also means that no two of my relationships will be the same. So sometimes you find that people would put expectations on the relationship that they're in based on previous relationships.
And that's when you're going dead wrong.
Yeah.
That never ends well, I've never seen a situation like that end well. When somebody look at how the relationship was. And the thing
My
is,
question to be, why don't you look for him then?
I just about to say, if that is what you want, why don't just be with the person that gave you that instead of trying to turn me into That don't make sense. That don't make sense. And then we're gonna have all kind of issues because I and her, or you and him, two different people.
Not only that, Jade. Not only that we're two different people, but we're also different people that are evolving. So yeah, we might have had a certain level of compatibility at this particular point in our lives, but as we continue to evolve, who says that we evolve in the same direction and the compatibility remains the same?
The problem I feel is that people feel like they own people. So no matter what's happening, no matter how bad it gets in, that person belongs to me. So I gonna tough it out. I gonna go through the hard things. Like, people feel like they really have to suffer to be loved, Like, one thing I find in this society that we live in, people feel like it is okay to suffer to be loved.
I think that hurt comes with love because love makes you vulnerable. But
Makes you a lot of things.
Yeah, but indeed. So I think that is, I don't think because something isn't perfect mean you have to discard of it, right?
That's not what I mean.
I know. So what I'm saying is, though, that doesn't mean that you have to suffer, right? Just to be in a relationship, meaning that people deal with trauma, abuse, disrespect over and over again till it becomes part of the fabric of the relationship, no, that is a whole different thing altogether. You know. But once you're in any kind of situation where you are vulnerable, then yeah.
Yeah, and people
How
are
it
perfect as well.
That, yeah. Don't come to that.
Somebody says, I've been married for 31 years. I keep asking my son when he will get married. Well, gets a wife. He's 25 years old. He says, Mom, women are different. No, women like you don't exist anymore.
Same point I was making. Same point I was making. And let's not. I do believe that there has, you may have, if you were to look at women, at least the image and just mindset of women, you may see a huge evolution between, let's say, the 1950s and 60s.
Yeah, man.
And
Them times you was your husband's property.
Right. So I don't think that it's fair to then expect young men to have the same type of consideration moving forward. Now that don't mean that men haven't evolved as well. Men have, but I believe that the differences, the gap might be a bit wider. I mean, and yeah, no.
Say something.
And I believe that the evolution, again, I keep saying, everything in life is a pendulum. When the pendulum swings one way, you can swing back the other way. So we're going to see a swing back in a generation or two.
Damn, I gotta wait so long by.
No, but I mean, that's what it is. We don't say a swing back, man. I think it's already begun, but because I believe we're at the peak of the, what should you call it? I think the Me Too movement, as it was kind of a peak of the whole women carving out their deserved space in society. Yeah, I think that was like, yeah, and so we know the society is going to settle back into a space where there is somewhat of a balance before there becomes any balance again. But yeah, we're going to get to a point where you're going to have a couple generations where hopefully we see more families, more marriages, more partnerships. However it is, yeah.
Are you reading some of these comments? I've been married basically half our life.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, and that's and the thing, and for me, that signals that it's a good thing. So when you see these kind of stories, again, it's possible.
Somebody says marriage is hard work. Yep. People get married for different reasons. Whatever the reason is, you got to keep working at it. You can never get comfortable in your marriage and feel okay that it's, I am finally Mrs. So husband got to work and women have to work. After the marriage, we still go through changes. 17 years in and oh boy, we had everything that married couples go through, but God. We were dragged to hell and back.
Yeah, don't stop there, Jade. Come on, Lord, man.
Today I can say I love my husband more than years gone by. Lord knows how much snot I blood cried. Oh man, if that's not making me want to get married, why?
No, but I think anything, again, anything that you are vulnerable has the potential to elicit those kinds of reactions, right?
Yeah, but when you love people, especially, woohoo.
Yeah, and the other thing that I think we need to be mindful of is that everything ain't for everybody. So those of you who are out there shaming people because they're not married or they don't have children and all them things, stop it.
That is so confusing. Like, why are you shaming people for not having one?
I've been called selfish
because you don't want to be.
Because no, I don't want to, but I didn't have children at the time. Just they're like.
So when you're selfish because you didn't have children.
Selfish because the person was like, oh, you're a young man, you have your stuff together, whatever. How did they have your
stuff together?
And I'm like, how you? That's the exact same question. Like, how you know that? Yeah.
Because me out here looking like a bum, looking like I was drugged up. That made me stuff together.
I don't know, Jade.
That's wild.
Yeah, but people men get shamed for it.
I know, because every year on Father's Day we talk about who's captain in the barren boat.
Yeah, on the mule boat, by. Right.
And I hate it because one, you don't know the reasons why that person may not have kids, especially when it comes to some women. I feel like people just assume that all women can have kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is furthest from the truth. Some women have things that they go through with their reproductive systems, and they aren't able to get kids, and you constantly reminding them of that does not help. You think they're not already struggling with the fact that they may not be able to do what they want to do? I mean, I'm not just talking about the women who actually want to have kids. They're already struggling with the fact that they may not be able to do this or give their partner this blessing or whatever it is. And you just constantly in the face talking about, girl, when you going to get your child? What, girl? You still ain't want a child?
You plan to get my dog grandchild?
Well, you don't get one since you're so concerned about it. Since you're so concerned about my mother and she lack of grandchildren, how about you give her one?
But Jade, not only that, Jade, but some people might just not want any. And not only that,
fine.
not only that, I keep telling people, because you are able to produce life,
That don't mean you should do it.
don't mean that you're prepared to do that.
Nope.
Don't mean that you're prepared to do that.
Not at all. Some of y'all should not procreate ever. ever.
And some people know that, Some people know that, hey, I am too self-absorbed, I'm too selfish, I am too much concerned about, this just does not fit into my plan. It might not be that I'm selfish or self-absorbed. It might just be like, hey, I have a focus on a goal where that may be more for distraction because it's a very big responsibility.
Not only that, some people may not they just can't afford it. Children ain't cheap. Children are not cheap. They're not puppies, okay? Puppies ain't even cheap. But children, they cost. They cost. You have to make sure you give them the best life possible so they could grow up into the adult that you want them to be. And ain't everybody have the money for that. So please, stop telling women and men, when you gonna get a child? When you gonna get your parents a grandchild, Lord? Because first of all, the grandparents never come to you and say, Lord, I wish so-and-so would give me a grandchild. Never had that conversation with you. So what you wishing it on them? Suppose the grandparents didn't even want a grandchild. What now?
Yeah, one of the things that is very unfortunate for me is not just persons who know our parents but weren't ready for parenting, but also and then not making the effort to put themselves in the position to be the parent that the child needs. Like that in itself is very unfortunate, So we have to be very careful and recognize that everything isn't for everybody.
Some parents out here literally ruining the kids, ruining from young, from birth, from the time they come out the womb. They stand no chance because of the parents they born to.
Yeah, and this is a very nuanced conversation, because I had this conversation with someone a few months ago, and I was telling them, I said, look, this does not mean that there should not be an ideal. Like the ideal is heterosexual relationship, man and woman, raise children, marriage. That is it, we need the ideal, because without the ideal, then what happens is the society loses direction. But you just have to understand that one, we are all flawed. We are all not going to get to the ideal, and the ideal isn't for everybody, right? So you don't erase the ideal, right? You don't create a situation where the ideal is something that we no longer strive towards. But people have to recognize that, hey, because you're not ideal doesn't mean you somehow fall short and you're somehow less than and all of that. But we have someone trying to get in on the conversation. Good morning, caller. You're live on Island T. What's up? Last that caller. Let's see if we get this one. Good morning, caller. You're live on Island T. What's up?
Yes, good morning to you wonderful people, as
Good
usual.
morning.
In my spare time, I always take a few minutes to sit down and listen to you guys, because there's always something that us callers can relate to. Recently, a woman passed in St. Kitts, but was it this week or last week? And she had either 6 or 7 adopted children. And I think she may have had 2 of her own. Now, to adopt 6 children, whether they live with her or what, I don't know, but according to what I heard already, she had these adopted children. And to look after 6 adopted children, no doubt she had help from other family members, but I had to admire that woman there. And then Jade said something about dogs. Well, let me tell you something. I have 2 dogs in my yard, and they cost me a pretty penny to look after them.
That's what
Because
I said.
I look at
Dogs
my
not
2
cheap
dogs
either.
and them. Huh?
That's what I was saying. I said children are cheap. They're not puppies, but puppies aren't cheap either.
Okay. And the dog came down with some problem, and had to put him down. Really, really hurt my heart to put him down. But when I went to the vet to find out what it would cost to operate on the dog, he had some kind of blockage. They told me $3,000. $3,000, young people. Now, if I had the money, I would have just paid because I love my dogs to death. But it was put down. I don't think it lasts more than about a few seconds because from the moment the dog was injected with this drug, the dog just died peacefully. When I said, "It gone?" He said, "Yes, it gone." Just the drug acted within 5 seconds. And I asked him if the dog felt any pain, and he told me no. So, you people just tell you about children, but I always believe that people should bring a child. And when they're ready for a child, because it ain't easy. It ain't easy to raise children. You have to provide books. You have to provide all. That's what I'm happy when government provides uniform and give them a meal in school and all the rest of it. But looking after children and to come tell, like I have a granddaughter there, where she's telling me, and I don't care if they're here, telling my granddaughter, this father, when he going to get a grandchild. I said, well, look, no, man, you got to finish your studies. That's more important right now. Children and child ain't the thing, because who's going to look after the child? She's going to have to carry the child to some crutch or something like that. So I tell her, you get the child when you're ready. You don't get the child to please the grandfather, grandmother, or whoever you got. So, good program as usual. You're always touching something that us listeners could chime into. Take care of yourself, guys.
All right, man. Enjoy the rest of your day, man. I appreciate it. But yeah, Jade, I think, and I think we've said it here before, people have to understand that with parenthood comes sacrifice, right? Comes sacrifice, because at this point you have now entered into a situation where there's a responsibility that falls squarely on your shoulders, right? It isn't anybody else's responsibility, and it's a blessing, right? And so you have to respect the blessing and live up to the responsibility.
No,
right?
trust me, there's some parents out here who just act like it's not. They act like they forget that they have children. I just can't understand the mindset of parents who get kids and then act like the kids don't exist, as if it's somebody else's responsibility and they're playing.
There's a level of resent a lot of times in those cases.
But what about when the kids go up to resent you now because of how you treated them?
They don't care, Jade.
Oh, well, clearly.
They don't care, and that is the sad part, because we see a lot of times how those situations could really spiral into to adults that aren't very well adjusted, adults that aren't necessarily positive contributors to society. The institution of marriage, family, that it's vital to society, which is why I say, as much as we're talking about, everybody this and that, the truth is the ideal is necessary. We need the ideal. The ideal is what helps to facilitate what we're trying to build, right? But people shouldn't be shamed if they are not, if they aren't.
With parents?
No, if they aren't living.
You better shame them.
if they're not up to the ideal, and that's what it is. It's an ideal, so we know, hey, all of us aren't going to attain it, right? But we need, we need certain levels. And I keep saying, one of the things that I feel we fall short on as society is, and I know this is the case because too many times we aren't really clear on what our roles are as parents, right? So the question is, how do we figure that out, right? Just the way we figure out all kind of other things. And I believe when we do family planning family life, sex education, all these things. These are the things that are necessary. I believe those are the things that get kind of left on this side when we go into these types of conversations, right? What is your responsibility as a parent, right? What are some of the things you can expect? We don't learn these things. We don't learn these things. You're going to start to ask your friend them. You're going to ask your mother. You know, you're going to ask other, there's maybe, hold on there. Yeah, so you're going to ask somebody in your circle for some advice and things like that. When sometimes these are the people, yes, of course, experience is the best teacher. But sometimes I feel if we were to kind of standardize some of these things, then it would better prepare persons for the experience. You're going to buy a book off Amazon or something to try and figure out how to be a mother, and because you're searching for the information as you should, if you care about the job, then of course you're going to do all these things. But when are we, and I think this goes a long way in terms of sexual health, the decisions that people choose to make. I remember when I was a teacher and I speaking to young men about the need to be just discerning about partners, maybe not just run around and have intimacy with all these multiple people at like 17 and 16. You know, the thing that would always get them to go, it wasn't nothing to do with the Bible says such and such. It wasn't nothing to do with, hey, you ain't got no money right now to deal with that deal. And I mean, the things that does spark thought in young, well, at least from my experience, in young men's head. And those are the things that we start to tell them, like, oh, but you can't afford no child right now, you know. The person in school, they ain't affording anything, so they don't have a.
They can't even afford themselves.
They don't have a income. They don't know where money go. So telling them at age 15 that you probably should have either safe sex or abstain because you can't afford, that just doesn't hit the same way. It might hit for somebody who have bills.
Well, let's take this. Let's talk about. Let's read this last comment, answer this last question, and then.
But wait, I need to finish this because people can feel like they know what I'm saying.
Oh, I thought we finished.
No, but what I'm saying is what generally makes an impact when you're talking to young men, and from my experience, is the fact that, hey, bro, you have to understand every person that you're intimate with has the potential to impact your life for the rest of your life. Whether it is through disease, whether it is through pregnancy, and so having to raise a child with this person has the potential to, and I kept answering, I say, think about that girl there who you're talking to right now. You want to be with you for the rest of your life? No, seriously, and I think those are the types of conversations in terms of what parenting means that really help to shape the decisions people make, even sexually, right? But we don't really have those conversations. But you're saying about the comment.
So somebody says, my son, 25 years old, I'm almost 60. I asked him to give me a grandchild. He said he can't take care of himself as yet. Question, do you guys think I'm being selfish?
Yes.
Well, there you go. Unless you tell him that you will raise this child.
No, but that don't even matter at that point. It don't even matter. Venet, I understand your desires. Yes.
Get a puppy.
Yeah, but
let him give you a puppy.
It's the decision should be made considering other factors other than pleasing mama.
Yeah, that's a fact.
That's maybe one of the least on the totem pole. Not that it's not on the list, but it might not be too high on the list.
Yeah, just get a little puppy, get some serotonin going. You might just need somebody to run behind, and a puppy works well. So.
Don't you know, because your son going to be the one to come over and do all kind of things the same puppy.
I tell her get a puppy, tell him give her a puppy. He is your only child?
Yes, we understand. We understand your desires, but the responsibility to put on him to make you happy, I mean, that's a little rough. That's a little rough. Ask him to come around more.
Yeah, that's all. But let's take a break, guys, because when we get back, we will be jumping into some conversation with Miss Marsha Henderson.
What?
Yes, she's here in her red. So stick and stay, guys. We'll be right back.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Here are your hostels by Mass IG Values Club Blue Tag Specials from July 14th to 27th. Quaker Captain Crunch cereals, $12.99. IGA Peanut Butter, $8.99. IGA or Essential Everyday Microwave Popcorn, just $5.99. Tropicana Juice Punches, $7.99. And Morningstar Meatless Entrees, just $18.99. Nabisco Belvita Cookies, $16.99. And now our very low weekly
value deals. IG or Essential Everyday Cornflakes, $7.99. Essential Everyday Barbecue Sauce, $5.99. Equaline Mouthwash, $13.99. Suavitel Fabric Softener, $16.99. Essential Everyday Apple Juice, $7.99. Arm & Hammer Liquid Detergent, $31.99. Shop Smart, Shop Value Mart, tell them in Spanish.
sea listo y haga sus compras aquí a
Value Mart.
Welcome back, guys, to Win Media SKN, and it's Island Tea time. And as Jade mentioned before we went to the break, we have a very, 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 and I'm going to say very two more times, very, very special guest in the studio with us this morning. Guys, we have Miss Marsha Henderson in the studio with us this morning. Good morning. How are you doing?
I am tired, but I'm not complaining at all. I'm doing good.
Well, what should I call you, Miss Henderson, Marsha?
Whatever you want to call me.
Hey.
Listen,
Hey,
you know
hey.
who you're talking to?
Hey, you know me?
Anything works as them, if I can call you as them.
But Marsha, it's a real pleasure, and of course we could definitely understand the tiredness.
Yes.
Because we were right in the heat of campaign mode now.
We are.
At the tail end, right, going to the home stretch, and
8 more days.
Eight
more
imagine that,
days.
eh?
Yes.
Imagine
Before
that.
next week,
Just like that.
Friday.
At one point it felt like it was never gonna come.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
But for those of you who are wondering why this matters, on Tuesday would have been nomination day. You were nominated to be the candidate for the Kitts-Nevis Labour Party in constituency number 2.
That's correct, yes.
How are you feeling about that?
Oh, it's an awesome feeling. I am honored that the people of Central Bastia, have put their confidence in me, and I was nominated by 2 of our young female leaders, Kimmel Demin and Jamaica Woodley.
Okay.
Jamaica Woodley. And I, just like the other persons in Central Bastia who've placed their confidence in me, these 2 brave women stepped forward with me on Tuesday. They walked with me from the constituency office to the McKnight Community Center and, poised their confidence in me to be the next representative and the candidate for Central Bastia. It's an feeling for me to have taken on the mantle, from the persons who have gone before me, starting with our first national hero, Robert Bratcher, who, would have served as the representative of that area, as the recent representative Marcella Liebert, and even Dwyer Astefan, who is assisting me in this campaign, and all the other persons who, would have worked before for the people of Central Bastia. The mantle has been passed to me, and I am absolutely honored to, to serve the people of Central Bastia.
Well, it sounds like you have some big shoes to fill.
Some big shoes, but I'm ready. I'm ready for this. I'm ready to serve.
But Marsha, I mean, I always ask this question when we have, candidates come in, and it's about what was the process, what happened. Tell us the story behind you going from someone who may have been focused on family, may have been focused on your career, to know someone who, because of your jumping into the political spectrum, now have to focus on the needs and concerns of our entire community. What would have led you to saying, hey, I am going to enter the political ring?
Okay, so I've always been passionate about people, but I don't know if people think it's taboo or, when I say I had no political ambitions. I never saw myself before as a politician, but I've always been passionate about people. In fact, I've been an advocate for the past 18 years, championing the cause of women, young men, and even in the criminal courts. So my passion has always been service, be it in, in the private sector. And it wasn't until, when I got to, like most young people who are not really interested in the politics, it wasn't until I went to sixth form that it became apparent. And at that time, the Labour government was in power. And someone came to the college and was asking what we want to do. And I was like, I want to be a lawyer, and there was a particular minister at the time, he doesn't like me to call his name. He was very, very instrumental in ensuring that I, when I applied for economic costs, that it was ventilated at cabinet and I got through. He helped me apply for my room on board and even the application to the University of the West Indies. And I'm like, this man showing a lot of interest, and he never once made a move on me. It was genuine interest. And imagine he was a politician and he never even solicited my support. It was just out of care and concern. And it wasn't just me, it was a bunch of us in sixth form who he came and he was like, what you guys want to do? And he was ensuring that, he showed some interest in what we wanted to do. When I went off to school and I came back, and it was clear and obvious to me that I benefited from progressive policies that at the time were in place by the Labour government. And then I came back and there was a call to serve. And I'm like, I prayed about it. I thought long and hard. I spoke to my friends and family. And I decided after praying that I have to give back. I should give back. I have a moral obligation to give back. And what better place to give back than to Central Bastia, the same community that molded me and made me into who I am. And so I decided to answer the call. I am honored that the people have, as I said, put their confidence in me to serve as their representative in Parliament. And that is what led me here.
Well, now you're here. How has that journey been, especially since that, when you started, you may have seen you having to do all this campaigning and all this stuff that you have to do now over a 5-year period. But then it was pushed to just, about 3 months?
3 months, because I've only been on the ground since April. So we transitioned from the previous candidate in April. We were thrown into a snap election. And so I've been on the ground since April. The elections are on August the 5th. So it's been tiring and exciting. So as tiring as it is, nothing is more... when you go canvassing and you meet the people and they give their confidence and say, Marsha, we are honored and excited about the fact that you are going to be our next representative. And when you hear the concerns as well, that it can be a little draining, you know, how our people in Central Bastia in particular have been neglected. And, you know, I'm honored that, like I said, they've asked me to do it, and I've stepped up to the plate. And as tiring as it is, I am ready for it.
You're talking about exciting. I well know what you're talking about, you know. I saw you on the back of a motorbike there.
Listen, the picture been all
I know what she's talking about when she say exciting. I know that's really what she's talking about.
Yeah, that's one of the exciting parts as well, yes. But when you see the little girls, you know, who they run to you and they see you as a mentor, and when they run to me and they say, Marsha, we love you, you know. Mind you, it's not going to get to my head at all, but when you can be in a position to at least impact young people, you know.
Yeah. I think that you mentioned, you know, Central Bastia being, you know, the constituency that you're contesting the seat in.
Mm-hmm.
That constituency, you mentioned that there's a feeling of neglect.
Yes.
Amongst the people, and that's what's been coming out of the conversations that you've been having. In what ways is that neglect most visible, and what are your intentions, if successful at the polls, to address the needs that would have come out of that neglect?
Okay, so in terms of visibility, no, we saw that this administration within the last 7 years would have built, I don't remember, it might have been around 60 houses or however many it is. None of them were allocated to any of the people of Central Bastia. And while we're canvassing, that is top on the list, whether it's lack of housing or lack of affordable housing. And the people of Central Bastia were not allocated any of the houses built. None were built for the people in Central Bastia. Similarly, a lot of the persons complain about the lack of employment. So a lot of our people in Central Bastia are not working. In fact, yesterday while I was on the canvas trail, one lady said to me, you know, Marsha, come November, one factory is going to be left at the industrial site, which is Jaro. Kajola is going to be closed down in November. We've seen the closing down of 3 of the factories within the last 7 years. And that is an indication, not only that, I mean, we were faced with the pandemic, but prior to that, people were just not working. A lot of our people, as I continue to say, are stuck on the social programs, and the social programs are like a safety net. The government is responsible, nonetheless, to find employment for the people, and the people of Central Bastia are complaining about the lack of jobs, lack of infrastructure, and a number of other things. And in terms of what I intend to do when I go into office, the first thing, and they've complained as well about the cost of living. A lot of that comes out. And I don't know if you're aware that the first thing we said on our platform is that we intend to increase the minimum wage to $500, and that is disposable. So I suspect it's going to be that plus whatever deductions that would assist. And in terms of housing in Central Bastia, our party, well, not just in Central Bastia, but our party intends to, in the first 5 years, build 2,000 homes. And that has nothing to do with the allocation of land. That is just the building of homes. And the people in Central Bastia, I will make sure to advocate that our people in Central Bastia are a part of that and benefit from this policy.
But because sometimes, you know, we have these responses to the needs of the people being put forward, and it becomes a bit cloudy as to how is that possible. I think when we start talking about housing, particularly in Central Bastia, that raises that question, because people keep saying, well, where the house is going to go?
Absolutely.
So is there any detail that you could?
But without going into too much detail, Central Bastia has been landlocked for a while. But the most recent, let's say, allocation of land for the people of Central Bastia and even building of homes would have been that development immediately in front of Ross University. 500 and something lots were given out by the Labour government I think it would have been between 2010 and 2015. And so land was allocated, but not within the Central Bastia area.
Okay.
So the persons who live in that area were allocated land there, and even some in Duas, Duas housing development. So
So
yes,
what you're saying, we may be seeing the fact that the persons who may have traditionally grown up in
Yes.
Central Bastia be given priority in areas outside of Central.
yes, and that has to happen because there's nowhere to allocate land in Bastia, and so that's not an issue. We are not scarce of land in this country, and so the people of Central Bastia would be benefiting from the policy of land and home distribution.
Understood. But you are actually going to continue. I think you were talking about some of the other things that you intend to do for the people of Central, if successful at the polls.
Yes, I was touching on the issue of jobs and how we intend to create more opportunities for jobs, and lamenting on the fact that we have not had investors come here within the last 7 years, and those who were here actually packed up and left. And so I think the confidence in terms of what the investors have in this administration is lacking. And with a Labour government in office, investors would return. We would have job creations. We intend as well to introduce technical and vocational training. I think a lot of times we focus on the academics. A lot of our children and students are not necessarily inclined in that way. We are introducing, we're big on agriculture, and that as well would create more jobs. I know Samuel, I don't know if he's been here, but he has been, okay, and he is one of the biggest advocates for agriculture. That as well, and our plans for agriculture would create more jobs for our people.
Yeah, I think that it is no secret that employment is something that is very much necessary within for the people of the urban centers.
Yes.
Right, which is kind of interesting because they're the ones who are closest to the commercial centers as well, right?
Well, interestingly, as them, it seems as if that all of that is moving out of Central Bastia. You see a lot of it moving into the areas of Frigate Bay on the outskirts. So we are advocating, and we intend as well to do urban revitalization in the communities of Central Bastia, particularly the McKnight and the downtown area where businesses will return. Now, mind you, that is a long-term plan. It's not something that we can accomplish within the next 5 years. But we are mindful of the fact that Central Bastia, as you say, if you're looking for supermarkets, the only real ones you see in Central Bastia are the Chinese.
Yeah.
They've moved to Buckley's, Bird Rock, Frigate Bay.
Yeah,
Nightclubs, none in Central Bastia, maybe the Spanish, have little shops there and you can go at a bar. But Central Bastia needs to look like the heart of it is town.
Yeah.
It is, as you say, where all the commercial activity happens and you don't get that feeling. And so we do have plans, long-term of course, to do the revitalization of Central Bastia. And that would help in that regard.
Well, I know most of the candidates don't seem to want to give out too much, but if you can give us a little detail about some of the plans that you guys will be implementing to fix this problem.
The urban revitalization?
Yes.
Well, it requires us dealing with a lot of the abandoned properties, one, and creating spaces where more businesses can operate. And even if we create residential spaces, but we also need to create commercial spaces where you can have barbershops, supermarkets, nightlife, and that would be, of course, we would have to relocate the persons, whether we can't acquire the lands, we would have to buy out the lands because government can only acquire the lands if it's required for a public purpose, like the building of roads. So it would mean that we would have to buy out the lands and redevelop the area on a whole. And I know there's a plan that I can't speak about, particularly for the Bay Road. I have seen it, and one of our young persons have created something on it. Similarly, with the IT, there's an IT policy that some young persons have, people from 18 to 19 years old. I'm just saying this to say that we want everybody at the table So the urban revitalization plan that I've seen and was created by a young person under 45. The IT policies that persons have reached out to us on as well, they're saying, we want to sit at the table, we're in Labour, we're in PAM, we understand we have to vote, but we want to make our contribution to this country as well. And these are young people who are asking for their seat at the table, who are asking, give them the opportunity to take up space. So back to the urban revitalization, there's a detailed plan. Of course, I can't go into too much of it.
All right, so I feel like there is a lot of talk around women in politics. It is something that we have seen the parties embrace.
Yes. How many women we have this time?
At least 5.
At least 5, yeah. In St. Kitts.
In St. Kitts and in Nevis, there's at least another 2.
Yes,
right.
Yes.
So we have been seeing the parties embracing women candidates, female candidates. We have seen females being more active in the leadership.
Yes.
Because I don't know for a lot of people, but personally I believe that women have really been the backbones of all these parties all this time.
You are correct, Azim.
Like, that's what they see with the most passion, who have the ones who always go out, the one who's always there, organize any events.
Execute.
It's always been the women. Yes. But now seeing women move more and more into the space of candidates, I think it's welcome. Now, I'm not a woman, but just looking on.
You are?
Just looking. I am just looking on. Would assume that there is some unique challenges to kind of going into this traditionally male-dominated sphere, but also just having to deal with womanhood, parenthood, all those things, being in a field that is so involved.
Yes.
Right? How do you intend to manage?
Oh, you mean how am I managing?
How are you managing it now already?
Yes.
And is it something that you would encourage other women to pursue?
Okay, so that's a loaded question. But first, the challenges that women face generally outside of politics, because I'm a professional in terms, I'm an attorney and I'm a mother. So there is a challenge even outside of politics for professional women or women on a whole. You don't need to be a professional, but there's a challenge where we have to learn to balance. And I think a lot of times the system isn't, a lot of times people don't want to be flexible. They expect you to show up. Let me say, like for politics, the men can show up. If there's a meeting, the men can show up. But women, we can't just show up, We want to get made up. And we don't always have to be made up, but we just don't put on a suit and come. We have to fix our hair, fix our face, and get ready. But and that's one of the things. The other thing is I don't think women are taken seriously when we make our contributions. Just because we're women, we are not taken seriously. You'd be in a room with men, and you'd be in a room with men, you make your contribution, and they brush it off. Sometimes because you're a woman, you have to assert yourself, whether it's professionally or in politics. You always have to be asserting yourself. I've gone into rooms and one man even said, lawyer lady, we hear you. And I had to say, you don't do that. Don't do that. I came in here and I addressed you as Dr. So-and-so. You don't call me lawyer lady. You understand? And that's the temperament. It requires us, like I always say, to have a cultural shift in how we think and behave and see women. And so I find that a lot of times we have to be assertive and we come across as being petty because we have to assert ourselves sometimes to get our points made or for our points to be valued, our contribution to be valued. And when we assert ourselves, oh, that's a petty, and they're just. So that's one of the challenge. I don't have an issue with asserting myself at all. In fact, I'm very assertive, and so it's not an issue for me. But I don't think it should get to that point where women have to assert themselves to have their contribution valued in leadership. And the other thing is balance, the balance of, you know, if you're a mother and your profession, whether it's politics or otherwise. So you have to balance family life and your career, politics, or for me being a lawyer, I have to show up every morning, take my son to school, get to court on time. I struggle with time, everybody will tell you, you know. But to me, I think we need to learn to be flexible and adjust so that we can accommodate, you know, women.
Right.
Yeah, because and the thing with that too is a lot of the times when you're assertive, they start to say, oh, she is too masculine.
Yes.
She presents too, you know, you lose your feminine touch, because they often think that women are supposed to be so dainty and quiet and in the background. But when they see strong women,
Yes.
they just don't know how to deal with it.
At all.
So you talk about this need for cultural shift
Mm-hmm.
and the need for society to
Think
to
differently and
as you
behave
did,
differently,
right.
yes.
In terms of policy that
Mm-hmm.
could help to shape that, is that something that you've thought about, something that you
Absolutely.
intend to do?
In our all spheres. So, for example, there is the consideration of paternity leave, the introduction of paternity
that's what we're waiting for
leave.
you to say, Will,
And of course, that is if it's going to assist, because you don't want, you know, fathers staying home for just staying home sake.
Of course.
But it's to create a balance. So the introduction of paternity leave and maybe the changes in maternity leave.
Mm-hmm.
That's necessary.
Yes,
Yeah, big time.
to assist women. And then we are also considering changes to policies, for example, in creating spaces, whether in private or in public, to accommodate women on the job. You can pick up your baby, for example, during lunch, and care for your baby there, spend time and bond with your child.
Right.
For now, you have to go back to work after 3 months.
Which is definitely not enough time.
Mind you, 3 months includes some time before the baby is even born.
Yeah.
So it's, I think it's sometime before and sometime after. So the 3 months includes that period. And so sometimes your baby is at the nursery early and the time to bond isn't there.
Sometimes
So
people
even
have to
work-
give up their vacation to try and
Yes.
extend it.
So
and,
working from home, I mean, with COVID, that has changed working from home, and some jobs don't, you can't work from home, for example. But, you know, there should be spaces in the public and private that women can bond, breastfeed, and even return the child back to the nursery if that permits, even if it means increasing lunch hours and you put back in the time, because what matters is if you put in the time.
Right.
Not that you're on a strict 9 to 5. And then there are, and I don't like to say, maybe the introduction of quotas for women to fill spaces, whether on boards or, you know, in leadership positions. But that is being considered as well. So a number of policies to ensure that women, you know, get treated fairly. But those are just some of the policies. There are a number of things that we are considering. For example, on our platform, for single women, there is the policy of allocating 30% of the homes that we're going to give to single mothers.
Okay.
So all those things contemplate ways in which we can assist with women in our society.
Well, you mentioned COVID, and I know this has been a concern for a lot of people, and I don't think I remember any of the parties really talking about it, but I think it is important. We know over the last couple of years, because COVID has been here for way too long, that people have lost their jobs because of the fact that they may not have been able to get vaccinated for whatever reason, medical, personal beliefs, and all of these things. And these people are still out of a job.
Yes.
What, or if there is any plans to help alleviate the stress of you not being able to work because of this decision that the world has been moving past anyway. So how is St. Kitts-Nevis, and in particular the Labour Party, going to be able to deal with the fact that there are still people unemployed because of COVID?
No, I think the reality is that we have our main source of income being tourism. And so when COVID came, a lot of the hotels, restaurants were locked down. and a lot of our people who worked in the hospitality industry were home. In 2004, if I can just say, we were at the juncture where we were closing down the sugar industry, 2004 or 5, when the Labour Party took the harsh decision and closed down the sugar industry. And people were petrified, like, oh, we're going dead. What are we going to live off of? We live off of sugar. And we introduced tourism. We are at that stage again after COVID, where it is necessary for us to consider ways in which we can diversify our economy and not simply rely on tourism. COVID has taught us that, and this is the time where our young people, are stepping up. So like I said, the introduction, our party is big on the digital economy, and that is going to create jobs and other means of, revenue other than tourism. We're big on agriculture. We have solid plans for legalizing marijuana for commercial purposes, which would create jobs for our farmers, those who are going to package it, those who apply for the different licenses, the export of it. So our party doesn't just intend to rely on tourism, and we're going to see how we can restructure tourism as well. The manufacturing industry, like I told you, Jara is going to be the only company that remains open at the industrial site unless others come in from November in this year. So we simply cannot rely on tourism alone, and COVID has taught us that. And our party has a lot of plans, like I told you, whether it's in agriculture, the digital economy, entertainment, and manufacturing, all the other areas, and in addition to tourism, of course, to create job opportunities to send our people back out to work.
Well, I think that's been a huge concern for a lot of people. How are we intending to diversify and make ourselves more resistant to things like the pandemic, to some of these global issues that are facing us? Because even after the pandemic, now we have wars happening that are causing us,
not to have food and the other things that come here, which is why agriculture is big. And so we're at that stage again where we were in 2004-5 when we took the decision to close down sugar, which is all we knew at the time, and move into tourism. We're 20 years later, we're at that step again where we are forced to consider other ways and mechanisms to diversify the economy, to create jobs for our people, to make us more, food sustenance and all those things. We're there now. And I'm encouraging our young people to step up. It doesn't mean that you have to be a politician, but you can make your contributions, in the policies we create in the next step in diversifying our economy. You can, like I said, make your contributions in IT, in agriculture. You come and you sit at the table with us. We create the way forward.
Well, you say it's all well and good to encourage the young people to come to the table, but a lot of the times the issue isn't that the young people don't want to do it, is that the spaces aren't created for them.
That is correct, Jade. You are so correct.
Yeah, the young people want to be there. They want to give their ideas. They want to contribute to society, but the older folks block them a lot of these times. They don't want to give up the spaces, the seats. They feel like they know because they've been there the longest. So when a young person comes with a fresh new idea, they put it down because they feel like we don't know enough.
Where you're going with that? You just come. But like I told you, the plan for urban revitalization in Central Bastia, that was done by one of our young people. We have an IT policy that we've been considering even before the announcement of the election. We've engaged our young people, and they have prepared an IT policy. So we are already including young persons. We intend as well to have the shadowing in the different ministries where young persons can sit under and they'll be shadowed by whether it's the director, the minister, whomever, so that, once there's time to transition, there's a smooth transition, one. And secondly, they also get to contribute to the policies that affect them. So it's not just about transitioning, but making your contribution. So that is what we intend to do as a government, to ensure that young people, women, your voices are heard and you make your contribution.
Well, speaking of IT, I don't know what it is with the obsession in this country with paper.
Yeah.
But for example, recently I went to the health center to do some to get an injection, and the nurses had to ruffle through all types of papers
To find out when you got your vaccines when you were younger.
and I don't understand.
And you know what amazed me? When we were hit with COVID, our vaccination card was digital. So it shows that we can, and we have the mindset. Because when I was traveling, I was able to get my vaccination card. You could have it a physical copy, or you can have a digital copy.
Right.
And so the Ministry of Health had moved to giving you your vaccinations card, your cards digitally. Why can't we do everything else that way? Why wasn't the steps taken to digitalize or you know,
Or
the
records?
E-government. Just e-government.
and that is in our manifesto. I mean, that is going to make business easier. You don't have to walk. And even at the court where I work, I mean, in Nevis, they've moved to you know, the digital recording of certificates of title, but you have to go back in books. Some of them, the pages out, some of them, you know, missing. And we're in 2022. And the young people we met with, they were like, Marsha, can you imagine a 4-year-old child knows how to code? But in schools here, we're teaching our young people
Cursive.
cursive. And I protested, and they're like, oh, it's a confusion. But for computer, we're teaching what is a mouse,
What is a mouse?
what is a computer, what is software in grade 4.
They don't
And 4-year-olds understands
Build websites.
how to build a website, what is how to build software, and they can code. So, you know, we absolutely need to do better. Our young people, they have the competence, they're capable. We just need to create the avenues for them. And that is what our party is about. And I am hopeful. I am absolutely hopeful. But we are at that stage where we now need to make sure, you know, the focus is there, not just on how many cruise ships we can bring in and all of that.
Yeah, well, I mean, we spoke earlier about how we, you know, are in this season, snap election season.
Yes.
In terms of politics and where we are now, what's your general feeling about the state of the country in terms, like, from a political stance?
I think we need to settle down. We need some stability. We have been in election mode for the past 7 years, and even more so within the last 2 years. And the country needs to settle down. We need to go on and focus on building our country. And I'm happy that the elections are going to be on the 5th of August. I anticipate that we're going to have a high voter turnout. Mind you, when we go out canvassing, a lot of persons are disenchanted with the politics on a whole. And some persons were like, you know, I may sit it out this time. But this is a critical election, and I think a lot of persons more now understand that we can't sit it out. I think in the last election we had maybe a 57% turnout, and I think we're going to see a higher voter turnout. Persons are ready to have the country just, you know, settle down and have some stability. So on election day is next Friday, and we are all going to go out to vote. I am hoping that once the votes are counted, we settle down and we move on to country building.
So you don't believe we're gonna have to end up in several court cases after this election? Because that seems to have been
the norm and the trend. Well, we are. I am prepared. If there's the need to.
Yeah.
If there's the need to, but I'm hoping that we can focus, because you see, when we do those things, when that happens, we're always in election mode.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, there's no settling down, there's no rebuilding, and so we just need to go about our business on election day, and even before, fairly. We need to have fair elections, free and fair elections. The people need to go out and say what they want. And then we need to settle down and focus on nation building. Our people are suffering, as you said. A lot of people are not working. A lot of people want homes, they want jobs. People have their issues. And we can't forever be in political mode, election mode.
I literally told my friend just recently, because we was talking about election, and I told her it feels like we are never out of an election cycle.
Yeah.
Even after elections are called,
Jay,
the next 5 years is spent.
do we recognize
campaigning.
that in Nevis we could end up with 3 elections in a year? Between now and December, we could have 3 elections in Nevis.
I'm sorry for them.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for them, because I
that's a
can't
reality.
imagine.
I know. We really need to settle down. And the people should go out and cast their votes. And let's see what happens. Hopefully we don't, go back and forth, and the elections are free and fair, and there would be no need for that. But if that doesn't happen, I suspect,
I mean, even if that happens, I keep saying I think my fear is that we end up in a situation where
We have to do this over again.
yeah, and because there's not a clear majority by any one party, that we end up in a situation where
I don't agree with you, though. I
No,
think
I'm
my
not saying it's a
party. I know. I'm just
no, but I know you're looking for all
joking.
it.
Oh, of course, of course. So.
I know you're looking for all
The
it.
people are going to go out and elect the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party.
Well, the candidates becoming younger and younger, because now we have a whole, well, not a whole new batch, but we have a batch of new politicians entering the arena.
Yeah.
Do you think that they could help to quell some of this tribalism, get St. Kitts-Nevis people away from the behaviors that they have displayed over the past election cycles, and even in this one? Because as much as we like to say we're getting to a new place where we don't do as much of the rah-rah and the fighting, I don't feel it. Like this election cycle has shown me that we are not there yet. Do you
So
think
it's definitely a step in the right direction, but we still have a way to go. I've seen a big difference. I don't see politicians as my enemies, even if they're my opponents. Natasha and I, we get along well. I even get along well with the other 2 persons who are running in Central Bastia. I mean, I see them and I tell them I'm going to bang them all the time.
Well, as you
I'm
should.
going to wash
As
them
you
out.
should.
But I don't see them as my enemy. And I see even young people, when you canvass, they're not interested in the tribal politics.
We keep saying that, but they're not listening to us.
I've been walking the grounds, and we are selling our candidates, but young people are asking about the issues. I have been walking particularly with the 2 past representatives, and we've been selling on a national level the issues that they affect us, how they affect us nationally, outside of those in the constituency. And young people are eager. That is what they want to hear. They want to hear about the school being built on the aquifer. They want to hear about the building of the prison. They want to hear about the government contracting with a Swiss company to have the solar energy plant here. Those are the things that intrigue them. But when you start about, other politicians, they're blank out.
Yeah.
But when you talk about the issues, young people listen. And so for me, that is a step in the right direction. That's, it's no longer if you're a Labour, you're a PAM, if you're a PLP, whatever. What are the issues, how they affect us, and how you're going to help.
Yeah.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah, I think we at a place where and that's why I think this particular election is critical for how we move forward politically as a nation.
Yes.
Right? Because we are in a situation where if we aren't careful, we could slide even further back into some of that tribal behavior. Or we can really evolve as a people and see the parties, and the candidates, the politics, the politicians, elections, all of this as just a part in nation building and nation development, as opposed to this competition of enemies and things that traditionally it's been.
Because at the end of the day, everybody's supposed to have the common goal, which is the best for the country. So if we keep seeing, and I guess I just never understood the mentality of people who see it as my party against your party, my color against your color, because that's gang behavior.
Yeah.
That's the gang behavior that we've been trying to get away from.
It is a competition.
It's a
So
competition.
we
but-
have is a contest.
Yeah.
So we have to sell ourselves, but not to the extent, that.
Yeah.
Well, I think part of it is the role that the parties play in our elections. I think partly is that, and we perpetuate some of this as well. Just trying, as we say, we try to sell ourselves and think the different parties. But if we recognize that the parties really are there to facilitate the fielding of the candidates that will then represent the areas, as opposed to being these overreaching organizations that somehow control everything. Like that's how it feels now. Like you say, you have the unity government or the PAM government, Labour government, and it's almost like this overreaching overlord that you somehow have to pay tribute to in order to get through. Like, if we don't change that, then...
But that's still kind of necessary, because each party has its own philosophy. And I think that is what we need to sell, as opposed to fight each other.
Right.
But each party has its own philosophy. And our philosophy is the empowerment of the masses. And that is what that is what we were built on, and that is what we advocate for, whether it's through home ownership, education, small business ownership, whatever it is, we are about empowerment of the masses. And so even though PAM would sell its story or PLP would sell its story, their philosophy may not resonate with me. You see, so it's still necessary for us to push our narrative, our story, but not to the extent, like I say, that, it becomes tribal.
Well, there's a question on the live that is very interesting, and it says, what would you say differentiates the Labour Party this time to be the best choice from the others?
Clearly, no. If we go back, the other two were in a coalition. That fell apart. And clearly, the policies that they are advocating, for example, the three that I mentioned, they are advocating for building a prison that is going to be built by a Chinese company, whilst our people are here out of work. That Chinese company, I'm told, is going to be making about $600 million off of the building of the prison. They're going to be able to sell our passports and make monies off of it. Now, if that money was spent here in our economy, it would have been here circulating to fix our hospitals, which has deteriorated drastically. It would have been there to build, create homes, jobs. That money is going back to China. Similarly with the Swiss company, this government, and that includes PAM and the PLP, they had gone into an agreement with a solar energy plant out of the Switzerland, where the sun were in the sky would heat up some solar panels. They would sell that energy to Skelec, and Skelec would sell it to us. And that company, over the next 15 to 20 years, is going to make, I'm told, about $250 million US. Now, if that money was here, our people would be able to benefit, like I said, from improved healthcare, jobs, building homes, and all the other things. But that money is going back to Switzerland. No, the Labour Party is not about that. The Labour Party is about helping the masses here, empowering our people. So our policies, our progressive policies this time around, if you look at our manifesto, our progressive policies, as opposed to what they're advocating for, sending money out of the economy while our people continue to suffer. We have 8 solid candidates, diverse candidates, and our competent comrade leader who is caring and compassionate. That sets us apart completely from the other two parties.
So I think what you're saying is there's a difference in focus.
Yes.
And also...
And the focus is the people.
People. And
not foreigners.
Right.
Yes.
And also that you believe that the Labour Party has the best team of candidates being put forward in this election.
Correct.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like that's what each of the parties should feel like, that they are putting their best forward, hopefully.
No, how can you say that when our people continue to suffer and these two parties contracted to send $850 million over the next 15 years out of our economy? You know what that could do if that money was circulating here? We would have a lot of people moving off of the social programs and being able to be independent. We'd have a lot of people being able to work for themselves. We could fix the hospital. We wouldn't have to fly out every time we get sick. So I'm not sure how they can distinguish themselves from us and say they are better.
Well, arguments are being made.
Solid arguments as well.
So you're saying that it would be better for us to do these things locally. Isn't there a fear that when we undertake all of these projects locally, that we lose foreign investors?
No, not at all. I mean, we can collaborate. We can create companies here to work so that even our people can be shareholders in the companies here instead of sending all the money overseas. But we can collaborate with the experts if we don't have them on island. If we have them here, we can use them and work with the persons from overseas. But how can we allow a foreign company to sell our passports, make the money off of it, and take the money out of the economy? I am not at all against foreign investors. Like I told you, we want foreign investors to come, but we can't have them taking all of our money out of our economy while our people continue to suffer.
Understood. I think that a lot of times when we're talking about money that could be used here, we sometimes act as if this money is somewhere sitting, and then we have to and we're taking this money and sending it somewhere. And so I personally have issues with that type of rhetoric, not necessarily saying that I don't understand the point that's being made, but the way sometimes it's phrased, I think excludes some of the nuances that exist. So when we start talking about foreign investment, foreign partnership, how that works, I don't believe that you're saying that is not necessary.
Not at all.
What you're saying is the way that it's set up
Yes.
needs to be in a way that puts more of the favor in
our people.
Our people.
My child could be a shareholder in a company here that works with an overseas company. All the monies should not be sent to China and Switzerland. And the prison doesn't even cost what is going to be sent overseas. So the prison costs a certain amount, and a huge, substantial amount is going to be sent overseas. Why can't some of that stay here to build our country? And to me, that is major, especially after a pandemic where people are out of jobs, people want housing, we need our roads fixed, health is deteriorating, schools are falling apart. Irish Town School, Bastia High, it's tragic.
Yeah,
to say the least.
I totally agree with you in terms of the need for a lot of these, especially infrastructure projects, to really get on the way. When we start talking about, we complain about those same institutions that you talk about, the hospitals, schools,
yes,
roads, etc. We start, people talking about bridge between St. Kitts-Nevis, all these things. My thing has been, like you're saying, the fact that a lot of this can be structured in a way where our people are invested in the successes of these projects.
Yes.
So what do you think has kind of caused us to not be doing that? Not only the last 7, 10, 15 years, but why hasn't that been the way that we have done things traditionally here?
I'm not sure. Within the last 7 years, for me, it has been the focus.
Okay.
When politicians take those decisions, it's because something is in it for them. So they agree and contract to send the profits overseas because something is in it for them. What about us? And to me, that is where they have failed. That is where we can set them apart from us. Things were definitely better on the Labour, if I can say that. Things were better on the Labour. we had money circulating in the economy. I mean, we could have done some things differently and better. I'm not even going to, lie about that. But nothing has happened in this country within the last 7 years. We built some roads, which is what we're supposed to do. We did some stoplights. And all the other projects that were finished were what was started under Labour. But nothing new. I stand to be corrected. But I cannot recall anything new other than the stoplights, the fixing of some roads here one time, there another time. And I can't see any real capital projects that would put money in our people's pockets. So then how do you take a decision to embark on capital projects that would send the monies overseas?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, some people may say that some of the things that you're speaking about did happen under the previous administration before the unity government. How do we as people put trust in the Labour Party, hoping that these things won't continue? What can you tell us to reassure us that certain things that happened before that a lot of us would not agree with would not happen again?
So we need to be more transparent. We are going to be running a government, not your own private business. We are accountable to the people. We are elected as members of parliament to serve the people, and we are accountable to them. So we absolutely need to be more transparent. That's one, so that people can stay up to date with what's happening. They can go and ask a question and find out. We need to be, putting more things out there. And how do we prevent those things from happening outside of transparency? You said some of the things that happened within the last 7 years.
Well, I was speaking before the past 7 years because you did mention that the Labour Party was not perfect. So how do we ensure that those things that happened...
and we would never attain perfection. No party will. But once we stay focused on the philosophy of the party, which is the empowerment of the people, we will not go astray. Once we start thinking about ourselves, we would have an issue. But if we stay focused on what we stand for as a party, which is the empowerment of our people and nation building, we should not have any real issues. We may drop the ball here and there. Of course, like I said, we will never attain perfection. But focusing on the people would ensure that things like, you send this overseas so you could get a cut. I'm not saying that has happened. But clearly something has to be happening why you would take a decision to just send all the profits overseas or a major part of the profits overseas.
Okay.
Understood. Well, Marsha, I think that we are squarely, like I was saying, right at the end, hopefully, of this.
Hopefully.
The fourth quarter.
Oh my God, you don't understand.
You don't understand
I think I feel it for the candidates like yourself,
Can you see it on my face?
No, you look lovely, and
thank you, Azem.
I
Thank
don't
you.
know just what you're speaking about.
I'm sleep deprived,
Well,
but it's
you're
for a good
hiding it well.
cause. It's for a good cause.
Yeah, but I think we are at a place where I don't think most of the population was clamoring, agitating for an election at this point. And I think that we have to recognize that sometimes people are starting to believe that we are at the mercy of the political class, and whatever happens, not only in parliament, but in cabinet, but just what happens in whatever meetings and whatever, like we aren't not only involved, but not the beneficiary of. And I think that is what you're talking about in terms of sticking to the philosophy, remaining true to empowering of the masses. And that is what you are interacting with when you say sometimes people are disenchanted with the politicians and the political class. Hopefully, the politicians that come out of these times, right, with the younger politicians, the ones who are new, could bring some of that understanding to the political class and then foster the change that we're looking to see. Because the question that Jade asks, I think, is one that a lot of people are asking, which is what you're hearing comments like, we just need a whole new crop of politician, man. We just need a new party. We need and people really, at the end of the day, start feeling like it is not us against them, but the parties against the parties, right?
My thought is, because we've had some good politicians. I won't lie.
Right.
In my short span here on earth, I've encountered some good politicians. To me, the introduction of term limits is what might help, because when you stay in office sometimes for too long, you lose focus. And you tend to believe the country belongs to you.
So let me ask you a question now. You're speaking about term limits for Prime Minister specifically?
Yes.
Or even for representation?
And representation, but that requires it requires electoral reform, which is what we are big on as well. That's in our manifesto that would be launched later today, and constitutional reform. So my thing is, and maybe I haven't thought about it long enough, but politicians should not be there forever and forever and amen.
We don't have a monarchy, right?
And even where there's a monarchy, the monarch doesn't make, those decisions. Those are made by the executive. So I think the introduction of term limits, whether it's for the Prime Minister or representatives, then that might help. It might help in terms of focus and all of that, and ensuring that you get what you need to be done, whether it's in 1 or 2 terms like in the US.
Well, I have another question, and it comes out of the fact that you are a lawyer. And so a lot of the laws in St. Kitts, a lot of people could say are very archaic, do not fit into the time that we are in. Is there any plans to try and reform some of these laws, look at them and see
or even abandon them? Yes.
Even better.
Yes, definitely. There are plans to, and even without us making the changes, the court has embarked on and sometimes created legal positions without parliamentarians going into parliament and creating it. So there's been a shift. Even with marijuana, you see the move to legalize it for so far for religious purposes. The court has taken that step, and the court should not have had to do that. And what the court did was give the decision and give the directive that Parliament needs to take the step. Of course, it has not been taken, so there's just a decision from the court, and the court cannot dictate for Parliament, of course. But we need to start thinking, as you said, Jade, that we're living in a different time now, and our laws need to reflect that. So there's the change. I've seen it as a lawyer where we need to make it in a lot of the old legislation, for example, even to go out and protest or go out on the streets. Back in slavery, the plantation owners had this piece of law where they would keep the slaves on the plantation, but if there's the offense of failing to move and keep on moving. So when we're out on the road, and I don't even want to call it protesting, but if you're out and you're grieved and demonstrating, they can just lock you up for failure to move and keep on moving in this day and age. So we still have a lot of archaic laws on our books. Whether we choose to enforce them or not, a lot of times we don't choose to, but when it suits us,
and that is the problem, right?
Because it's still there. When it suits us, then we try to enforce them.
A lot of times we focus on the letter of the law, not the spirit.
And we have a lot of controversial judges who have to look at those laws in comparison to our constitutional rights, because our Constitution is our supreme law, and any piece of legislation that comes into contravention with your rights has to be struck down. So the court has been, a lot of judges have, for example, with the Rastafarians, if that's their religious belief, the law that prevents them from practicing it should be struck down. Yeah. So laws are made to control people sometimes, and especially back during slavery. Not so much these days. We focus on CBI, all them other things. But Back then, during slavery, the laws were there to control the masses, and we still have them, on the books.
Yeah. So I'm glad to hear that there's a recognition that there has to be some shift and some changes to our legal system for sure. But Marsha, I mean, time is fast spent. I can't believe
already.
We've been talking for almost an hour so far. But I would love you to just, as you know, we wrap up, say any last words to our viewers and our listeners about one, why Marsha Henderson in the upcoming election, and of course why the Kitts-Nevis Labour Party.
Okay, so as in first, and Jade, thanks for having me. It was an absolute pleasure being here, even though I'm not a morning person and I struggled, but it was a pleasure being here.
The funny thing is, just this week I was like, I need to get Marsha on the show,
Yeah.
And then somebody messaged me. I was like, Marsha said she want to come on the show. I was like, oh, perfect.
So thanks for having me. It's my second time, I think, with you guys, and as always, you've made the experience. So I wasn't traumatized or anything.
No, we don't. That's not our brand here.
And
we don't aim to
sensible
traumatize.
questions, and I'm happy that you guys were able to accommodate me today. But on August the 5th, the people of Central Bastia have a decision to make. It's like I say, it's a critical juncture in our federation here. And I want to solicit the support. I want to ask the people of Central Bastia to vote for me. The good people of Central Bastia deserve good representation. Decent people deserve decent representation. Good people deserve good representation, and that has been lacking for the past few years here in Central Bastia, and I will bring that to the table with the policies that we have in mind, of course, coming out of the canvassing in relation to the issues that affect our people most. We've formulated a plan that includes, alleviating the problems for the people of Central Bastia. There are two other candidates. I'm not here to talk about them, but the current representative has been missing in action. In fact, they have admitted that they have failed. So I don't even need to say it for them. And then there's a new candidate. He runs on the PLP ticket. And we have gone through all morning what the coalition involving PLP and PAM, what plans they had, what agreements they went into that were not in the best interest of our people on a whole. And a vote for him is a vote for PLP. And so I want to encourage those of you listening to support all of the 8 candidates for the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party. From constituency 1 to 8, we are led by our caring and competent comrade leader, Dr. Terence Drew, who would provide transformational leadership for this federation. So I'm soliciting your support in Central Bastia. I love you. I am looking forward to being your representative and making things happen for the people of Central Bastia.
Well, Marsha, you have been a real pleasure to talk to this morning, and we appreciate you.
Thank you,
Asam, to come and hang out with us right here on Island Tea. Thank you. I'm sure the people enjoy the bushy this morning, I think.
Man, of course.
Yeah. Big up,
coffee.
No, big up all the sippers.
It's bush tea.
Yeah, last week I was in Nevis, and a man came to me and was like, Mr. You got any bush in your bag? I was like, always.
I'm just going to say, I'm sure you did.
But yeah, big up to the listeners. I'm going to tell you on the live right now, your Central people on the live going crazy right now.
I wish I could see my,
Yeah, man.
Big up to the people of Central Bastia. You always show up and show out for me. I am overwhelmed by the support, Azim and Jade. Completely overwhelmed by the support and the thought the people have that, I'm going to be their next representative. It's exciting. They continue to show me love and support, and I am so grateful for the people and honored to be chosen as their candidate and next representative.
Well, Marsha, they seem to be loving you right back.
Boy, you don't want to see the flags, the red flags on the line.
They always show up, always.
Yeah.
I could count on them, and I know I will be able to count on them on the 5th of August, 2022 as well, to show up and show out.
Yeah. Well, it has been a pleasure, like I've been saying, and we really want to wish you all the best in your
Thank you very much.
in your campaign as it kind of winds down or maybe ramps up to ramps up to the
Yes.
eventual election. And even after the election, no matter the results, we'd love to have you back to talk some more.
Of course.
And who knows, we might be calling you the Honorable.
You will be.
Okay.
Okay.
You will be.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Marsha. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Azem, and thank you, Jade, and have yourselves both a fantastic one today.
You as well.
Thank
as well.
you.
Go try and get some sleep. I don't know how you're going to find it.
August,
That is a foreign concept.
August 8th, maybe August 6th.
We were up since 6 o'clock,
Oh.
our management team,
Oh.
since 6 o'clock meeting. So it's all for a good cause. Like I said, it's all for a good cause. And so I'll get some sleep.
Eventually.
Yes.
All right. And Jade, things are happening, Jade.
Listen, and tomorrow we continue because we have the Honorable Dr. Jeffrey Hanley joining us first thing in the morning.
Big Jeff?
Darren.
Big Jeff?
Yep. Listen, Darren will love that. Darren is going to love that. But we're loving the love that we're receiving for both Marsha and ourselves. One thing I think people starting to realize is ILNT doesn't facilitate or foster a type of environment that makes people not want to come and not want to talk to us.
So I want to talk to them.
I want to talk to them too.
I want to talk to all.
Everybody, but I don't know if we're going to have enough time to talk to everybody between now and the 5th.
Yeah, man. Trust me, they can come.
Okay.
Certain people reach out already saying, they want to come hang out. I still want to meet MRM Jade. I
I
don't.
keep telling them anybody.
What is they have a call?
Anybody who knows the leader of the MRM party or anybody running on their tickets, please just send them a little invite to ILNT. Tell them Jade and Azim wants to speak to them. Okay, it's not a scary place over here.
I'll find out tomorrow.
Please.
I'll find out tomorrow.
Please.
Yeah. But it is really cool that we get to, we're in a position where we get to speak to all these people, and that they feel comfortable coming in and hanging out with us. And
Indeed.
I think our viewers and our listeners appreciate it as well. Appreciate them coming in and hanging out, because I think sometimes things are going to follow based on the agenda, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think genuinely, personally, I really just want to hear what they have to say.
Yeah, that's it.
Sometimes, this, Jade, sometimes I don't agree with everything they're saying. Sometimes,
No, we can't agree with everything everybody says.
yeah, but at least I know what their position is, and I know what their thought is, I know what their talk is. And I'm grateful because I know everybody isn't afforded the same opportunities we have to get these one-on-one conversations where they get to talk. And luckily, we're able to have it and then share that with people on our platform. So, yeah, it's really something that I'm grateful for and cherishing this experience, even though I really didn't want an election, but we're here.
But we're here.
And
we're almost there.
Yeah.
Jeffrey will be on first thing in the morning tomorrow. So just come sip some tea with us.
Mr. Henley, big up yourself.
Yes.
See you tomorrow. But Jade, it's been a pleasure. Time is fast spent. It's almost time for 10. And of course, we know Win keeps it moving.
Of course. So right after ILNT, there is Women in Focus, Better with Labour. And guess who will be on?
Cool. Who coming on with them?
The big boss?
Who's the big boss?
Dougie?
What?
Yeah, man. Yes, so comrade leader and comrade. Drew will be on as well. Listen, I just stick and stay to win. Just stick and stay to win.
Yeah.
So
basically, Labour take over Win.
Wow. Yeah, whatever. Lord, what you said.
You know that's what they're gonna say. Yo. Labour take over. That's a Labour take over Win. That's what they say.
Man, we sabotage and Win paying us. Labour paying. Well, you know what? Listen. That's how you feel. But the point is, we bring the information that you guys need to hear, and we are a platform. Because last night we had the truth with Dr. Timothy Harris.
Yeah.
And the day before, we had the movement. So, listen, we have it all here on Win. So, stick and stay right after ILNT, as we said. You don't want to miss that one.
Yeah. Guys, we got to leave. We got to go. We got to disembark. But it's been a real pleasure hanging out with you today. Whether you joined us on YouTube, Facebook, with MediaSKN.com, any one of the other digital platforms, we appreciate you. Especially those of you in the chat rooms who have been commenting and keeping us entertained. Actually, right here in the studios. For those of you who've been listening on the radio, real OGs, big up yourself.
Real OGs, man.
Yeah, and the callers as well. We love the fact that you take the time out to come and be a part of the show each and every morning. Big up yourself. Big up yourself. Big up yourself. Remember, guys, to go out and check the list. Make sure your name there. If you ain't there, well, too bad.
Well, better luck in the next 5 years,
But
hopefully.
at least it would save your walk.
Yeah.
August 5th. So yeah, man, take a look.
Good point.
Yeah, take a look. Make sure. Yeah, and the embarrassment too. You want to go in there and the people them just going like. How you spell it? Yeah, you don't want to deal with that. But guys, yeah.
Okay. They're here, so we gotta go. We gotta leave. We gotta get them back.
That's what we done past the part.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So guys, love it. See you guys tomorrow. Please remember, you can't be everybody's cup of tea because you is not a mug. Boom bang. Bye bye.